If GPT-5 can cook, we have probably my first 100K app. Prompting is a new, basically the new fire. It's a new way to code. You have to take the documentation and understand, these people put it all out there. The Cursor team, the folks at OpenAI, they just said, yo, we got the cookbook right here. They dropped some sauce in there that's worth millions of dollars. And we are gonna cook with that right now. So if you've been trying to get GPT-5 and thinking this doesn't feel as smart as everyone said, or feels lazy compared to Claude, you're not wrong. OpenAI just published their prompting guide, and apparently we've been prompting it wrong. We've been using Claude and GPT-4 patterns that don't work in the same way with GPT-5. There's basically something in here about controlling how hard the model thinks, like reasoning effort settings. And these are patterns for tool calling that are different from Claude. And apparently there's some specific ways to prompt it to make it less lazy. So I'm really interested in that. This is the OpenAI cookbook. And so what they're saying here at the very beginning with the prompting guide, with their flagship model, is that the agentic workflow predictability. So they trained GPT-5 with developers in mind, and they focused on improving tool calling, instruction following, and long context understanding to serve as the best foundation model for agentic applications. If adopting GPT-5 for agentic tool calling flows, we recommend upgrading to the Responses API, where reasoning is persisted between tool calls, leading to more efficient and intelligent outputs. Let's take a look at this API references. This is saying that OpenAI's most advanced interface for generating model responses supports text and image inputs and text outputs. So it creates stateful interactions with the model using the output previous responses as the input. So you're kind of having this cascading effect, and then you can just kind of basically keep compounding these efforts until you get to a specific result. Because just like a human, you don't always have all the right information to begin with. So you're going to ask questions. And I think the magic here is this composability. That composability is I don't know, I have a task, and then I need to ask more questions and either get more context or ask the user for more of that context that we need. Extend the model's capabilities with built-in tools for each file search, web search, computer use, and more. This is just the agentic workflow predictability from the cookbook that they mentioned. And so the next thing we're looking at here is the controlling agentic eagerness. So they're saying the agent scaffolds this and can span a wide spectrum of control. Some systems delegate the vast majority of the decision making with the underlying model, while others keep the model on a tight leash with the heavy programmatic logical branching. You can either just rely on the intelligence of the model and see how far it gets you, or you can write the specific steps line by line. Think of yourself as a robot, as the agent is kind of like your robot, and you can give it capabilities with the tool calling. And then you can either just rely on the model to make the decision on the next move, or you can just say, I have this already coded out. So this is the interesting one that I'm really curious about, is that you actually have to prompt it to be less eager to do stuff. So GPT-5 is by default thorough and comprehensive when trying to gather context in an agentic environment to ensure it will produce a correct answer. So by default, just the model is going to try to be very thorough. This is a common mistake that I've made, and I've seen a huge change when I set the model to low instead of high reasoning, is that in low, it tends to behave really good and really fast in Cursor. So when I'm using Cursor now, my default's not medium anymore. I actually change it to low. So GPT-5 low, and I sometimes change it to fast, and it's so fast. It works through problems really quickly. On the other hand, if you like to encourage model autonomy, which is basically letting the model decide things, right? Increase tool calling persistence and reduce the occurrences of clarifying questions, or otherwise handing back to the user, we recommend increasing reasoning effort. That's when we're talking about going to the high reasoning effort and using a prompt like the following to encourage persistence and thorough task completion. So the persistence is you are an agent, please keep going until the user's query is completely resolved before ending your turn and yielding back to the user. I'll show you an example of this. So in ChatGPT, I was just doing this because I found out that if you're reading the labels, those proteins, they'll say you have 18 grams of protein, you have 30 grams of protein. Apparently that's a scam sometimes. And I learned this key word that I had no clue existed until I was watching this video on Instagram, and it's called PDCAAS. And so that's the amount of protein your body can digest. And this is actually an actual regulated thing. So this is a measurement that's done that I had no clue even existed. So in some labels, when you get 22 grams of protein, you got to actually look at the daily value. So if the daily value says 0, basically whatever the grams of protein that are listed on you, it's not even digestible by you. If I need to take in 200 grams of protein a day, I'm looking at the protein number. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm not doing any other calculations. Now I have a reason to do some additional math. which I don't want to do all the time, right? I have an app for that now. If you're like weight training, you want to probably use whey protein, and every other types of protein has these different scores. And so this is like, got me thinking. I was like, wait, I just paid a whole bunch of money at Whole Foods because of this nice protein. It's called like Just Ingredients brand. And so I told the model to go basically look up some information, and it gave me back, like I'll show you the previous prompt. Does this basically the protein brand have high quality protein? I see 22, these values. What does the PDAS score the protein? So it quickly got back and just gave me some information about what this specific score is and why, but it didn't really do like thorough research. While it gave me the information, lots of information about it, because it's kind of just repeating from an encyclopedia, it wasn't really relevant to what I was really trying to ask and what I really wanted. So in my second prompt here, I basically said, I need you to do some deep research and think hard to look up this info. And then this is what it did. Not only did it do that, but it made the calculation happen. Just in that one, just adding that extra word, thinking hard and look up this info, right? It did its own tool calling, and it thought for 1 minute and 55 seconds. And it basically did this calculation that I had no clue existed, which is saying, if you do this specific calculation, if you get 22 grams of protein and it has a 37% daily value on the actual food label, if you just rearrange it with this math, the protein powder you're consuming is actually only 18.5 grams, bro. I'm like, the food label tells you how much grams of protein. And while that's true, not all protein is the same type of protein, especially one that your body can break down and use. That's a scam. And that's why I'm going to turn this into an app, because people need to know the truth about like what's actually in their food. This is a scam. While they claim 22 grams of protein, what makes it like not a high quality protein apparently comes down to the actual protein itself. Why did I have to tell a model to think for 2 minutes to come up with this calculation to finally tell me that like this is what's happening and that the food label is not showing it? And so the reason why I'm very passionate about it and why I'm really excited about this GPT-5 thing, kind of where tying it all back together, right, is the fact that we can do this type of intelligence now with GPT-5 by changing the reasoning effort, right? We can change it from low or medium to high, and that high reasoning made a bigger difference in my prompting because it did this calculation for me for free. I didn't tell it to go do this calculation. There was no instructions on calculation, right? The model was smart enough to do this tool calling within itself. So I can probably make an app here that can just take a picture of the food labels and tell you the actual real truth of how much protein you're really getting, right? Is this protein actually what it claims to be? Can I take this output that I got that's really interesting, that's actually extremely useful, and turn this into an actual full-fledged app? I don't know if you've seen that app called Cal AI. So Cal AI is supposed to take a picture of your food and tell you how many calories it is. But if you've ever used it, the accuracy is so far off, it's like, to me, extremely useless. This is actually very useful for my nutrition and fitness goals. I want to know, basically, am I overpaying for my protein or any type of ingredients, right? You're going to flip a lid on the cost of this protein because of just like the vibes. In California, you pay for vibes. I'm obsessed with strawberries. I'm obsessed with strawberry cream. I'm obsessed with strawberry anything. And this protein powder costs like 35 bucks. That's so crazy. I want to take a picture of this label. Can I give this to ChatGPT and just have it give me the whole rundown, right? Like that's what I want to do. I want to be able to scan this barcode or scan this nutrition label and have it do the calculation for us, because that would be so fire. Let me just go ahead and grab these prompting guidelines. Let me go to Claude and let's just go to Opus. I hit the join on the Discord. I got the Discord links in the description, and we're going to go to, we have extended thinking, we have web research, we have all this. I'm just going to see what Sonnet does too. I'm really curious. This is like a whole scientific method theory experiment. We get all of our prompts and everything. We're going to see who's going to actually perform the best at giving us an updated prompt for what we want to do here. Okay, let's see what's happening. And then Claude is like, Claude. God dang, Claude is a baddie right now. Oh my goodness. Oh. Wow. Let's go see what Sonnet did. Sonnet. Core mission. Perform deep research. Agent behavior instructions. Persistence. We have methodology. Mathematical accuracy. This is really good too. This is really, really good. Look at this quality assurance verification check before finalizing the response. So this is something that we learned when we were reading through that documentation, which is super important, especially since we're dealing with something here that involves calories and it's like actual verifying results. It says there's a checklist. It specifically has a header of quality assurance before finalizing response, the PDCAAS calculation shown with clear mathematical work. All protein sources in the product identified in research, claims supported by cited authoritative sources, practical recommendations provided for different use cases, comparison with other model proteins. Bro, this is crazy. I want to pop this into the prompt thing and see if we can get this working. Oh my goodness. I think we got an app. If you don't know, this is actually how I actually make my prompts. So if you're wondering, like, I have a whole GitHub resource with my prompts, and I literally will take outputs I like this, throw them into the language model. Claude Sonnet has been the most consistent overall, and Claude Opus, to generate new Markdown prompts like this. So now I no longer say Markdown, I just give it the ChatGPT 5 guidelines and it's cooking. Let's see. So what we have here is a persistence. You are an agent, keep the researching until the protein quality analysis is completely resolved before ending your turn. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Only terminate when you provided a comprehensive assessment, calculated PDAS, quality rating, and clear recommendations. Never stop at uncertainty. I can't believe the models have this capability built in from the box, and I don't have to like write the code for this. All I have to do is call the model with these parameters, and then we have that system prompt already baked in, and then we just get the response back. So then the next step here will just be dealing on what's the formatting, what's the UI going to look like, what's the user experience. But like, as long as I have this raw, reasonable data, I could just throw up a really basic site and just say, give me your picture, and then I'll show you if this is like truthful or not, right? Like, are you basically overpaying or not for this type of thing? This is bonkers. There's an error with this method. You can combine the two plant-based incomplete proteins to complete a complete protein. Peanut butter sandwiches are an example of this. Dude, Daniel Green spitting some game. Please tell me more about this. So the method that it's using is just solely based off of, it's not considering the completeness of it. So maybe we can kind of see if we can get some improvements on that. This is the calculation methodology. So it's going to take the protein content, the daily value, and the implied, showing the calculation. So it's now going to do the secondary step, which is assess whether protein sources complement each other's own amino acid profiles. And the mathematical work is going to show the detailed calculations accounting for complementary effects, not simple averaging. So this is a new feature with OpenAI. If you want to put your system prompt in your app, I don't know if you know this, but people can take it out of your app and basically, you reuse the prompt. But there's this new thing called a prompt ID. So this is tied to your own OpenAI account. So when people are hitting your specific key, you can just give it this ID in this version. And basically what's going to happen is it's going to use the system prompt information here. So that way, if you want to change it on the server, like here, we can just give it, the specific, this prompt ID. Like we can just say, hey, I don't need this chat to be in my history. I'm just going to go ahead and clear these values here because I don't need these. And I'm just going to go ahead and update here. So we're going to update version 1 to the new version, and we're going to set as a default version. We're going to go ahead and publish it. That ID stays the same. And so as we tweak our system prompts, we can just push a change called version 2 down to the prompt. And then that way, like, you're not having to push changes to your code, push changes to your backend, invalidate caches, do everything you need to do to make sure that the person is using the latest system prompt. Ideally, you would have the prompt sitting on the server. Instead of sitting on your server, now it's actually sitting on OpenAI's endpoint. So your app is going to hit that endpoint at that exact time. Now, whatever is published is going to feed down that response. You can kind of see the different versions. Version 1, version 2. Wow, that's cool. The next thing I want to do is try to see if I can just give it that label from the Amazon link. So the user probably upload an image, and I'll just drag that in here. All right. And I'm just going to go ahead and submit it, right? So if I hit submit, let's see. We are cooking, fam. We are so cooking on this. This is beautiful. I love this. Yeah, the next thing would be see if I can grab an AI SDK sample and just start like literally just hooking this up together, because this is basically the app right here. All right, so what does it say? Quality good. See, the score came back a little bit different, right? It was 0.84. It did pick up the, is it 39? Let's see. 37. See, it's 37, but it thinks it's 39 because the image is so bad. Is it within reason? Yeah. I mean, it's not super far off. We started off with the GPT-5 prompting guide, and this is kind of where we're ending up. It's like, I have to learn by doing. And if you don't know a little bit of my story, is I used to work at Apple as an engineer for 12 plus years, almost 13 years. Basically now on my own learning AI. And it's really funny that like I actually dropped out of school. So I had so much trouble reading and writing that I can only like learn by doing. And so that's what I do. And that's how I got all the way to some crazy projects, working on, stuff that now affects billions of people, like literally a billion people come across the software stuff that I've worked on, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And AI is that times 8, 8 billion people on earth. It's going to affect everyone. And if you're all about this energy, we've got like over 100 plus members in there right now. Yeah, it's a really cool, fun place to build. Daniel, you're going to get in for free for that 1 month for just giving me that solid gem. I might even hook you up with more, bro, because I think we're cooking here with something really, really crazy. And this is what I like to do. I like to, as soon as the models come out, like try to understand what they're doing, play with them a lot, learn more, try to get this type of information and just really cook, because there's some really serious stuff that's going on here.